Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how much easier life gets when you don't hand people every piece of yourself? We live in a world where oversharing has become normal. Social media, small talk, even friends and family, they all think they're entitled to know everything about you. But here's the truth. Strength doesn't come from telling the world every detail of your life. Strength comes from knowing what to keep private, because some things, once exposed, lose their power. Struggles are the kind of thing people feel pressured to put on display these days. You scroll through a feed, and it's one long highlight reel mixed with dramatic breakdowns. The problem is, when you give the world your pain in real time, you hand them the pen to write your story before you've even finished living it. And let me tell you, most people don't write fair stories about others. They take your struggles and twist them into entertainment, or worse, into judgment that follows you longer than the struggle itself ever will. Here's the truth. Not everyone who listens cares. Some people lean in just so they have more to talk about when you're not around. Others act supportive, but deep down, they're measuring themselves against your suffering. At least I don't have it that bad, they'll think, using your pain as fuel for their own ego. You don't need that kind of energy anywhere near your healing. That's why being selective about who hears your struggles isn't selfish. It's survival. Another thing about struggles is that they make you vulnerable. And vulnerability is a door. You open that door too wide and the wrong people walk right in. They don't help you. They don't lift you. They just take notes. They collect information about your weak moments and store it for later. Maybe it's a coworker who seems friendly. Maybe it's a family member who can't hold water. Maybe it's someone who envies you and finally finds a crack. Struggles are real, but they don't belong in every conversation because not everyone deserves that kind of access. Think about it like this. If you're in the middle of a storm, you don't need a crowd of spectators shouting at you from the shore about how you're swimming. You need one or two steady hands that can pull you back to land. That's it. Oversharing doesn't make you stronger. It actually drains you because you end up carrying not only your struggle, but also their commentary. Now you're not just dealing with the problem, you're dealing with everyone's reactions to the problem. That's wasted energy you could have used to get through it. And let's talk about the timing of sharing struggles. There's a difference between talking about a scar and talking about an open wound. Scars have stories that can inspire, teach, and encourage because you've already healed from them. But open wounds are still bleeding, and when you expose them, people poke at them whether they mean to or not. Healing requires space, privacy, and quiet. Once you've walked through it, then you can decide if the story is worth telling. But telling it mid-fight often makes the fight longer. One of the biggest misconceptions is that sharing every struggle is somehow proof of authenticity. It's not. Authenticity is living truthfully, not leaking every detail. You don't need to prove you're real by constantly narrating your hardships. People who matter will already see your resilience in how you carry yourself. People who don't matter, they'll demand more than they deserve, and giving it to them only empties you. Being authentic doesn't mean being unguarded. It means choosing what's true and what's necessary, and those aren't always the same thing. Here's the real shift. Struggles are not public property. They are personal battles, and you decide who has a ticket to watch. Protecting them doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. You don't need an audience to fight your battles. You need courage, patience, and maybe one or two trusted people in your corner who know the weight you're carrying. Everyone else, they can wait until the storm is over and the story has turned into a scar that you choose on your own terms to share. Plans are fragile in their early stages. When an idea is still forming, it's like a spark. You protect it with both hands until it grows strong enough to stand on its own. But the mistake most people make is announcing that spark too soon. They put it out into the open, expecting applause, but what usually comes back is doubt, questions, or advice that waters it down until the fire goes out. That's why keeping your next move private gives it the best chance to grow into something real. The second you tell the world what you're about to do, you invite opinions you didn't ask for. Some will doubt you because they can't imagine themselves doing it, so they project their limits onto your potential. Others will question every detail, turning your motivation into a debate. And then there are people who mean well, but their advice comes from their own fears, not your vision. By the time you finish listening to all of them, the move doesn't feel like yours anymore. It feels like something built by committee, and nothing built by committee ever moves with confidence. Another danger of sharing too soon is that it gives people a chance to quietly root against you. They may smile and nod when you tell them, but inside, they're thinking, I hope this doesn't work out. Maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's insecurity, maybe it's just the way they see the world, but the reality is not everyone wants you to win. And when you fail after telling everyone what you were going to do, those same people use it as proof that you couldn't follow through. If you had kept it to yourself, failure would have been private, and lessons could have been learned without an audience. Silence gives you freedom. When no one knows your next move, you can pivot without judgment. You can change your mind without being called inconsistent. You can experiment without everyone waiting to see if it blows up in your face. Plans evolve, and that evolution requires space. Sharing too early puts you in a box. You're suddenly committed to a version of the plan you may not even want anymore, just because you told people about it. Privacy lets you adjust without pressure. Think of success like building a house. You don't invite the neighborhood over while the foundation is still wet. You let it settle, you build the frame, you put up walls. By the time you throw the doors open, the structure is strong enough to stand no matter what anyone thinks of it. The same is true for your next move. Protect the foundation while it's fragile. The world will see the finished product soon enough, and by then, it will be undeniable. There's also something powerful about surprise. When you work in silence and then show results, you create impact. Nobody can pick apart what they didn't see coming. That element of surprise protects your confidence and magnifies your achievement. People can argue with your ideas, but they can't argue with results. Results are final, they're undeniable, and they speak louder than all the commentary that would have drained you if you had announced your plans too early. So guard your next move like it's currency, because it is. Every detail you keep to yourself adds value to your focus. Every plan you withhold builds strength in silence. Let people see the work only when it's ready to stand on its own, not when it's still learning to walk. Privacy isn't secrecy, it's strategy. And the most powerful moves are always the ones that show up unexpected, fully formed, leaving no room for doubt because the work has already been done in quiet. Private thoughts are one of the most valuable things a person owns, yet they're often treated carelessly. We live in a time where people feel the need to post every opinion, comment on every issue, and make every thought public. But the truth is, once a thought leaves your mouth or your keyboard, you don't control it anymore. It belongs to the people who hear it, the ones who twist it, the ones who save it, and the ones who hold it against you later. Keeping certain thoughts private isn't hiding, it's protecting your power. Every opinion you voice gives someone an opening to respond. Sometimes that's fine, but sometimes it's not worth the energy. You may be venting, you may be joking, you may just be thinking out loud, but the wrong person hears it, and suddenly it becomes evidence of who you are in their mind. They lock you into a label you never asked for. One careless thought shared too freely can follow you for years, and the worst part is you might not even believe it anymore by then. That's why choosing what to share and what to keep quiet is one of the sharpest forms of wisdom. In arguments especially, private thoughts can betray you. When you're frustrated, the mind races, and not every thought that shows up deserves a microphone. You may feel it in the moment, but feelings are temporary and words are permanent. Once spoken, they can't be taken back. The smartest people don't share every thought in a heated moment. They hold it, breathe through it, and release only the words that won't burn bridges they might need tomorrow. Silence in those moments isn't weakness, it's strategy. Think about how often people regret oversharing in the heat of a situation. Maybe it's on social media, where one late-night post becomes a screenshot that never dies. Maybe it's in a conversation where an unfiltered thought changes how someone sees you forever. Private thoughts don't always need an audience because not every idea is fully formed. Just because it passes through your head doesn't mean it deserves to be immortalized. Keeping it to yourself gives you the time to decide if it's worth saying at all. There's also peace and privacy. When you keep your thoughts to yourself, you don't have to defend them, explain them, or argue about them. You own them completely without interference. Once you share them, you open the door for debate, misunderstanding, or criticism that drains your energy. Protecting your private thoughts isn't about building walls, it's about preserving peace. Sometimes the smartest move you can make is letting people wonder what you think instead of telling them outright. And here's something most people miss. Not every thought is meant to be shared because some of them are stepping stones, not destinations. They're half-formed ideas, emotional reactions, or personal reflections that need time to develop. If you let them out too early, they can be dismissed, attacked, or misused. But if you keep them close, they can grow into wisdom, clarity, or conviction. Your private thoughts are like seeds. Plant them, water them, let them grow in silence before showing the fruit. The power of unspoken thoughts is that they keep people guessing. The less predictable you are, the stronger your position becomes. If everyone knows exactly what you think about everything, you're easy to read, easy to manipulate, and easy to corner. But when you hold back, when you keep some of your thoughts private, you remain in control. That control gives you the freedom to reveal only what serves you and to keep the rest as your silent advantage, untouched, unchallenged, and completely yours. Weaknesses are part of being human. Everyone has them, and they aren't something to be ashamed of. But here's where people get it wrong. They treat weaknesses like casual conversation, dropping them into the hands of anyone who asks. The reality is, not everyone needs to know where you're soft, where you struggle, or where you've fallen short, because the wrong person doesn't see your honesty as trust. They see it as an opening, and the moment you give them that opening, they'll use it to gain leverage over you. When you reveal a weakness, you hand someone a tool. The right person may use it to help you, to lift you, to protect you, but the wrong person will use it as a weapon. They'll wait until you're vulnerable, then turn your own admission against you. Maybe it's in the middle of an argument when they throw your weakness back in your face. Maybe it's in a professional setting where they quietly expose it to undermine you. Whatever form it takes, the damage is the same. You gave away information that should have stayed guarded. There's a reason athletes never broadcast injuries to their opponents. If they do, the game changes. Suddenly, every play, every hit, every challenge is aimed right at that weakness. Life works the same way. When you casually hand out your struggles, you're giving others a target. Not everyone will aim at it, but enough will that it leaves you exposed. Protecting your weaknesses isn't about pretending to be invincible. It's about being wise enough not to advertise where you can be broken. Weaknesses, once revealed, can also distort how people see you. Instead of being recognized for your strengths, you get reduced to your soft spots. It's human nature. People latch on to the flaw, not the fullness of who you are. A single weakness becomes the label, and suddenly you're the person who can't handle stress, or the person who struggles with confidence, or the person who always falls short. The truth may be far more complex, but once you've handed over the story, you don't get to control the version they repeat. Privacy gives you the space to manage your weaknesses without interference. You can work on them quietly, at your own pace, without everyone watching and judging the process. Growth takes time, and growth takes privacy. If you announce every weak spot while you're still in the middle of fixing it, you risk being defined by it before you've even had the chance to overcome it. Protecting that space is the difference between progress and being stuck in someone else's perception of you. Another thing to understand is that weaknesses aren't permanent. They shift as you grow. What feels like a weakness today may turn into a strength tomorrow, but only if you give yourself the room to develop it. Sharing it too soon locks it in people's minds as a permanent truth, and people rarely update the files they keep on others. They'll keep seeing you through the lens of who you were when you confessed, even if you've completely outgrown that version of yourself. Holding it close until you've built strength protects you from being trapped in their outdated narrative. And here's the bigger point: your weaknesses don't define you, but they do expose you. That exposure is power in the wrong hands. You don't owe the world a full map of your blind spots. You don't owe acquaintances or coworkers or casual friends the details of where you fall short. Save that level of honesty for people who've proven loyalty, people who build with you, people who won't use your weakness to tear you down. Everyone else doesn't need access to those parts of you, because once they have it, you can't control what they do with it. Peace is one of the most valuable resources you'll ever have, and it's also one of the easiest to lose if you're not paying attention. People think peace is just about sitting in a quiet room or taking a vacation, but real peace is deeper than that. It's the calm inside you that doesn't get shaken every time someone else acts out, criticizes you, or tries to pull you into their storm. And that kind of peace doesn't just show up. It has to be protected like treasure, because once it's gone, it's hard to get back. The danger is that most people don't realize how valuable their peace is until it's disrupted. They hand it out casually, letting anyone with an opinion, a complaint, or a bad attitude snatch it away. It might be a coworker who knows exactly how to push your buttons, a family member who thrives on drama, or even a stranger who cuts you off in traffic. Suddenly, your peace is gone, and they're walking away with your energy in their pocket. The truth is, when you let others steal your calm, you give them control they don't deserve. Protecting your peace starts with boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that say, this is where I stop and you begin. Without them, people will walk right into your space, your time, and your mental health, and they'll take whatever they can. Setting boundaries isn't rude, it's necessary. You can't protect something valuable by leaving the doors wide open. Just like you wouldn't leave your house unlocked at night, you shouldn't leave your peace unguarded for anyone to disrupt whenever they feel like it. Another way to protect your peace is learning the art of silence. Not every comment deserves a response, not every argument needs your participation, and not every insult has to be answered. People bait you into conflict because they know once you're in it, you're no longer calm, you're on their level. But when you stay silent, when you choose not to engage, you win by default. Your calm stays intact, and theirs crumbles because they can't pull you into their chaos. Silence isn't weakness. It's proof that you value your peace more than you value winning an argument. Peace also requires being selective with your environment. Where you go, who you spend time with, what you consume, these all feed or drain your calm. Some spaces are designed to stress you out, some people thrive on negativity, and some habits keep your mind restless. Protecting your peace means recognizing those patterns and stepping away before they drain you dry. You can't keep walking into fires and then wonder why you never feel cool. Protecting peace means choosing people and places that match the calm you want to carry. And let's not forget the role of self-control. Peace isn't just about guarding against outside forces. It's about managing what's inside you, your reactions, your impulses, your thoughts. These can either build your calm or destroy it. Every time you take the bait, every time you explode, every time you spiral into overthinking, you hand away the peace you worked for. But when you pause, breathe, and choose wisely, you remind yourself that your calm isn't cheap. It's earned, and it's worth holding on to. The more you protect your peace, the stronger it becomes. People will notice when they can't shake you, when their chaos doesn't move you, when their negativity slides right off you. And that strength is magnetic. It makes you harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to control. Peace isn't passive, it's power. And once you see it that way, you'll guard it the same way you'd guard anything rare, valuable, and life-changing, because that's exactly what it is,